fist. Wow. Wow.
We're going on to episode 5, where we come back to Mr. Anthony. Your opinion on episode 5, The Jedi, where we meet Ahsoka Tano, and they mention at the end
Spoiled it.
Grand
Don't
Admiral
spoil it.
Thrawn.
Well, so much for not spoiling it.
Okay, boys. I hope you guys brought a packed lunch. I'm gonna be
You got
going on this tangent for an
90
hour.
seconds. Go.
Yeah, I'm good. I have a 2-liter
Okay.
pop.
Okay, all fanboy aside, like, I don't know, maybe you guys disagree with me, but, it, and it was just a really great episode. Like, I don't know, like, even Ahsoka, it was super awesome to see one of my favorite Star Wars characters for the first time in live action. That was absolutely amazing, blew my mind. But when it comes down to the writing of it and just like how they did things, it was just so beautifully done. Like I loved it. And you guys can agree with me. Or disagree with me. That's the point. You guys can agree with me too if you want, but uh but that that's the nature of this discussion, but I thought it was really well done. The one nitpick that I do have, I thought her costume could have been done a little better. Her and this is just nitpicks. This is nothing against anyone or anything. It doesn't go against the episode at all. This is just a nitpick as a fan. I thought her horns on her head could have been a little taller because Togrutas do get really tall horns when they're older, and I thought that her tentacle things looked a little too much like rubber than really. But again, that's just a nitpick. Uh, there was a crease in one of them that I just kept staring at the whole time. It
I
just kept
actually know
drawing my
what you were
attention.
talking about. Yeah.
Anyways, it was. I felt like this one was. It was the. If you were a fan of the prequels or the Clone Wars, this was the episode for you. It was really well written. It kept pointing back, right? We finally got a Yoda drop. I thought for I thought for sure I thought it would have been a really funny joke as if she said, "Oh, he looks like a baby Yoda." I thought that would have been funny, but they didn't do that. But they do name drop baby Yoda as Garuda
Grogu.
or
Grogu.
Grogu. Sorry, Grogu as
Garuda.
Grogu. I got confused there. Sorry,
It's okay.
Grogu, and I didn't know they could actually communicate through the Force like that. That's kind of the first time that's happened, but it was cool to see the white lightsabers in live action. That was always cool.
So that's
Um,
something that they brought over from
Rebels.
Rebels? Okay. Because I know she doesn't have
So
those, at least in the part of the Clone Wars that I'm at.
no,
Doesn't she
you
get him
never
right
see
at
them
the
in
end of
this.
Clone Wars? I thought.
She gets kicked into
Maybe.
the Jedi Order. Then
Well,
then she
don't
gets asked
spoil
by.
it for AJ.
Yeah, wow,
Oh,
Anthony. Never watching that
sorry.
show now.
To be fair, I've spoiled things for AJ before, and he completely forgets by the time he watches it
Well, don't
that I
tempt
spoiled
me.
it for him. But
I'm not. I'm
anyways,
not going on a binge of that. I still have
no,
to try to finish Agents of Shield.
you don't see them by uh you don't see them until Rebels, and
Oh, okay.
Okay.
and the reason why they're white, unfortunately, I'd have to sort of well, I've kind of already spoiled it, but anyways, I don't want to spoil anymore. But they're white, and yes, that's different than everybody else's. Get over it. Anyways,
Wow.
but anyways, I love the Anakin, uh, the Anakin callback because Ahsoka's a character that has literally been kicked through the mud. Like the poor girl. Like you end Clone Wars with her not knowing what has happened to her master. Then you get to Rebels where she finds out what's happened to her master, and now she's living after the Empire, just kind of traveling the universe, trying to scrape up the ends of the empire and trying to finally put the empire to rest. And she's obviously has this haunting, memory in the back of her mind. And you can see that in the episode how like she doesn't want to train Grogu because she's so afraid to have an Anakin 2.0. And I always kind of hated that stupid rules. Like, man, that would suck to have no attachments in life. Like that would absolutely suck. But then I think just her talking about it kind of really, brought me around and was like, yeah, it's cool to see how like even she understood it as a bad thing. You know, how her master, was manipulated because of his emotions. And she wasn't totally against, him being trained because, at the end of the episode she says, okay, well, go to such and such a place and if it's his destiny to be trained, he'll a Jedi will show up. But she just doesn't want to do it because unfortunately she still feels that I think there's a lot of it where she feels that she's failed, right? She was beside Anakin most of the Clone Wars, and she never seen any of that, you know, that he was being manipulated, and she kind of, I think, feels that she failed him, sort of thing, and so that's obviously a really touchy issue for her. But it was cool to finally see a Jedi in the Mandalorian, because Jedi's are just obviously the coolest thing on screen at all times. But uh,
Agree to disagree,
also
but I understand what you're saying.
yeah, but also it was really cheeky too to see how like he he obviously knows, okay, these people are looking for the Jedi to kill her. Obviously, if I pretend to help them, they're gonna lead me to her. And it's like I thought that was pretty cool. And then right away he's like, no, I'm not trying to kill you. When she was uh fighting him, and then she sees baby Grogu there, and she's like, I hope you came to talk about him. And I also like how he refers to her lightsabers at one point as laser swords. It's like they never actually name drop lightsabers, and poor 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 baby Grogu never gets one in the episode.
Yeah.
It would have been pretty cool if
Can
you
you
seen him
imagine
like
how small it'd
wielding
be?
it. Yeah, it'd be like one of those little forks that you stab pickles
It
with.
would- I was gonna say it'd be like the size of the hilt of anyone else's. The whole thing would be the size of the hilt.
But
Oh no!
anyways, uh, it was cool that they mentioned too, like that he was actually in the Jedi Temple during its takeover at the end of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And it's also funny that Ahsoka never ran into him, but I guess there was like hundreds of Jedi at that point and hundreds of younglings. So, and he could. It sounds like,
And she was out and about. She wasn't up at the temple probably
yeah.
that much.
And Grogu sounds he was kind of more trained in secret. So maybe
Well, I
the
mean, not
common
so
Jedi
much. He
didn't
had
really
a
know
whole
about him.
bunch of masters. I just think,
Yeah,
like, if you think about it, we didn't know about Ahsoka until she's introduced in the Clone Wars. But,
yeah.
like,
No, there probably wasn't even hundreds. There was
yeah.
probably thousands of Jedi. But I'm not sure how many exactly there were, but there was a ton. And anyways, yeah.
Sheep
And
might be
then
good.
the the episode ended so beautifully too, with Ahsoka's instrumental playing at the end of the episode, which was a really cool nod off to the Clone Wars too. I feel like that, some people who are not fans of the Clone Wars would not get as much out of the episode as someone like myself who grew up watching the Clone Wars and loved it so much. And it was just a really awesome love letter to that series. But anyways, uh, also yeah, the Grand Admiral Throng uh, uh, Easter egg or whatever you want to call it. That was absolutely amazing too, because at the end of Rebels, Ahsoka leaves with Sabine to go find uh, Ezra, Ezra was with Grand Admiral Thrawn the last time we seen him, so there's a good chance that she's still looking for him. Maybe I don't know where Sabine is, but obviously it gives the hints too that Grand Admiral Thrawn is still alive. So that's crazy too. Honestly, just to put this in perspective of people who don't know uh, who Grand Admiral Thrawn is, he is probably, other than Darth Vader and the Emperor, he is probably the most dangerous man in the Imperial Army. Uh, there was only 12 Grand Admirals in the entire Imperial Army, and he's one of them, where there was hundreds of Moths. So uh, Moth Gideon is just one of hundreds. But Grand Admiral Thrawn is one of 12. So he was also the only person other than the Emperor who knew who Darth Vader was.
Like
And he
before he
figured it
became
out.
Darth Vader.
No, like well, lots of
He
people
knew
ran
that
into
Darth Vader
Anakin.
was Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, like, and
Yeah.
he found that out just from deduction. Like he's the only reason you watch Star Wars Rebels. Like he is honestly the best thing about that show. And he is amazing. His voice actor is amazing. They're hoping that when they bring him into live action, they'll use his voice actor for his
Well, it
real
will
life
depend on
counterpart.
how old his voice actor is, right? Because
About what you would think his age would be. He has just an absolute menacing voice. Like, uh, if you heard his voice in the middle of the night, you would be very terrified. But he's
Yeah,
just an
in the
absolute genius.
middle of the night.
Yeah, if I heard anyone's voice in the middle of the night, I'd probably be terrified.
Chris,
But
that's because you live
Even
alone
my
for
voice.
now.
yeah, exactly.
Dang. But anyways, you know what I mean. He's an absolute, like, he's the most he's basically this is for AJ who's a Ben 10 connoisseur. He's basically the ghost freak of that series. He's the one that everybody's terrified of. And the only time they ever win is by the skin of their teeth. AJ, you you want to watch a show where the good guys don't always win? Rebels is probably the one for you, because I know that was your complaint for Clone Wars.
It's not that they always win, it's that the way they win is so predictable. But we digress, we need to continue because we're already
Yeah.
past an hour.
Okay.
Alright,
Continue.
Caleb, go ahead, talk about episode 5, The Jedi.
The Jedi. Okay, so this is, if I remember correctly, this is where they go back and take over the series. We talked about this episode when it came out, didn't we?
We're still talking about where we meet Ahsoka Tano. But yeah.
Oh, that okay. I was one episode ahead. Yeah. I remember you guys saying that Ahsoka was coming and reading it. I thought they did a really good job casting her.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't buy into the whole her headdress or tail things were shorter. Other than it's fine for me. The laser swords was pretty good comment. I really enjoyed seeing the Beskar stand up to the lightsabers.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
cool. How come
That's
that never
not-
happened in the Clone Wars?
Like everybody knows it, but nobody really like. It's never been shown.
See, I had no idea that Mandalorian armor was supposed to be good against Jedi lightsabers or lightsabers in general. Like I just figured lightsabers, they're like the Doctor's sonic screwdriver. They work on anything.
The unstoppable force.
Exactly. But only certain people can use them. But you know, to find out that there's something that can block it, it makes sense. If there was an all-powerful weapon in our world, I'm sure we'd be working hard to figure out how to stop it. And we are, you know. Try to stop nukes by blowing them up in the air before they get to their destination.
By using more nukes.
Well.
Alright, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no. Let's not digress.
And pretty much everything you guys said, just to keep this moving. Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah. So this might be a little touchy, but this was my least favorite episode in the entire season.
Oh.
Get the hell out.
Yeah.
Get out.
I'll leave.
Heathen.
Anthony made a lot of good points. Like, there's a lot of good stuff in this episode. It was cool to see Ahsoka Tano. I guess when I first heard the name drop in the previous, or 2 episodes ago, honestly, I was just nervous. Like, how the heck are they gonna do that? Is it gonna be good or bad? And I guess, I don't know, seeing that more mature side of her, which made sense, but at the same time, it's not really what I wanted to see. Because I liked her a lot in Clone Wars. I was a little disappointed in that, but like Anthony said, it makes a lot more sense at the time based on what she's done.
Yeah.
She's seen some crap.
Yeah. And then the first time through watching this, you know how she fights up to the wall and there's this little exchange, and then she like gives him one day and then leaves. Now the first time I watched this, I was very disappointed at that because I was like, she just destroyed 5 people, and you know she can leap onto that wall and kill like all 6 of them up there right now.
Yep.
Like, no problem. So I was very much like, why the heck that episode should have technically just ended right there. Or she should have just, you know, jumped over the wall instead of giving them a day.
Yeah.
And then coming back and jumping over the wall and killing everyone on top of it.
I guess you want the Mandalorian's help to.
She
Yeah,
didn't know
but
the
she had no idea
Mandalorian
he
was
was
coming.
there. Yeah, she
Well,
had no idea.
no, she didn't. But she just probably wanted to figure out how to save everyone because she was afraid they'd open fire
But
on
that's
the
the
town.
only second time through I kind of thought about that. Like, yeah, maybe she's trying to limit the body count. But the problem with that is that the leader's right there in striking distance already. So they probably
just-
wouldn't have time to like kill the population. But anyways, yeah. So that's the main thing. It was kind of cool to get the name drop for Grogu and get kind of some more background on him. The whole he has several masters thing, I struggle to get around just because he's so little. Like, can you imagine being
But
one of
he's
those
50.
masters? He's 50, but he still acts like a baby, as we've talked about. So basically, all these masters at one point were basically babysitting Yoda.
But don't they explain the reason why he's acted that way is because he's had to be that way for so long? Like, there's no reason
he's
to
hidden
think that
his
he's
force
always
powers
been
because of that.
immature. I thought it was
Maybe.
also
They
his.
said
I thought it
No,
was
in that-
also his, like, his whole mentality is just regressed because he's had to essentially hide who he is.
maybe, as I understood their comments, it was just he hid his force powers and doesn't want to use them because he's hidden them for so long.
Hmm.
Not changed his mentality. So I don't know, that just seemed a little weird. Like, it doesn't quite line up with the rest, the way you see the structure of the Jedi training in the in the Clone Wars, in the first 3, second 3 episodes of the original
Yeah.
sextuplet. Is that what it? I don't know. So I thought that was a little weird. But those are kind of small, nitpicky things. Yes, they did give him a name. I'm still probably just gonna call him Baby Yoda because I don't know. I like Baby Yoda. And then the whole fight at the end, like I said, is watching through it. It was kind of like, well, Ahsoka could have done this
Yeah.
30 minutes ago by herself, no problem, right? So it was kind of, to some degree, felt like just a bunch of filler to try to advance the story a little bit.
I'm not talking to you anymore.
Yeah, I know. That's why I warned you. And then the fight at the end with Ahsoka and what's her name, the leader,
The governor.
the governor, yeah, warlord, whatever she was. How to describe this? It seemed very slow for what I would picture Ahsoka's fighting style.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
Like, it was very
I think
much
Ahsoka
like,
was just, like, slowly, like, it was intentional. But, yeah, I don't know Ahsoka.
This is a real life actress trying to do these moves. So
well, I know, but it's like when you watch episodes 1 through 3 of the movies,
yeah,
and then
it's
you
true.
go back and watch lightsaber fights in episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah,
Right?
I
There's like
understand.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
like it's very slow, very not as impressive. I'll say it that way. So again, I felt like Ahsoka probably could have wiped the floor with her much earlier.
Yeah, they could have
Uh,
sped up the footage a little bit to make it look like they were going faster.
well, and it's not just literal speed. It's just like the coordination was very simple,
Mhm.
right? It wasn't flourished like it is in episodes 1 through 3. And a small thing, I've always wondered this. You know when you get in a lightsaber lock, right? And they just sit there and hold it for like 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't they just slide their blade down and cut the other person's hand off?
I know.
I
'Cause
don't.
I noticed this even more with the Beskar spear, because it was like,
Yeah,
okay, with
best
the
cards you should be able to, but I don't think they're like super slippery with lightsabers, right?
well, see,
They
that's
are
what I could
beams
come
of
up
light.
with, like, whatever force it is that actually contains the plasma or laser or whatever the lightsaber actually is, could prevent you from sliding it down, maybe. But the
Yeah.
Beskar spear, it would just take like a flick of the wrist down and fight's over. So again, something nitpicky, but
Sure. Not sure about the.
just something I noticed. And then again, she changes the deal on the Mandalorian. She agrees to help him or train him, and then after all this is done, she says, "I can't do it." Which
What,
she
you've
had
never had
reasons.
regrets?
Oh, there have been. I'm just saying it's a continuing
Yeah.
theme. Even
And we all know Chris is a liar.
no, I'm
Oh,
a
you
sheep.
cheat.
Oh yeah,
Chris
yeah,
has accepted it.
yeah.
Come on. Well, I resent. I've come to the grips with the fact that you're gonna call me that, but I'm not gonna accept liar.
All right,
Uh,
go ahead, Daniel. Talk to us
Yep.
about the Jedi.
Well, you see, I was not too impressed with how the fact that the Beskar spear held up against the lightsabers. It is not completely lightsaber proof. It is lightsaber resistant. In the future episodes, we see it actually heats up after like half of a second. But in this episode, she was holding her lightsabers up against it for a few seconds, and nothing was happening.
did it really?
Yeah.
Does it not? Oh, I didn't notice that.
And then, so in this episode, it didn't even like show as if anything was happening to it. So that was a problem. Even if it had shown that it was heating up to it, the question then I have is Beskar a good conductor? Because if it is a phenomenal conductor, that heat transfer would have seared the person's
That's a
hands,
very good point.
ending the fight as well. So what the heck?
It must not be a good conductor.
As a sci-fi show, they are really neglecting the sci part of it.
The just the phi.
This is literally just focused on the phi part. It's more of a phi sci-fi.
So 5 high.
Yeah, it's a phi.
It's 5 high.
Fifi.
All right. For me,
I never thought about that.
episode 5 was a bit of a letdown. For me, just the whole inclusion of having a Jedi.
You guys are
I
all
was-
dead to me.
I was so excited to have a Jedi, to just have essentially a training montage of Ahsoka teaching Grogu how to effectively use the Force. And I don't want him to be like completely perfectly trained, because then we'd have another Rey incident. But at the same time, like, I wanted him to be able to start learning how to essentially channel his powers. The battles in it, again, lackluster. Like when the guy's going up against Din, he's like, "Hey man, I'm just being paid for this, so I'm just gonna head out." And Din
Yeah.
still has his gun out on the guy. He hasn't put the gun away, and the guy's like, "All right, I'm going away now." And then he tries to do like a little grab his gun, pull it out, and shoot Din before Din pulls the trigger. It's like, how has this guy been able to survive as a mercenary if he
Yeah,
can't even figure out that he's already lost a gun battle when the gun's drawn on him? So that the episode was disappointing, but I was happy that they're progressing stuff with Ahsoka Tano. Now I'm not sure whether the Grand Admiral Thrawn line of thought is going to continue in The Mandalorian, or whether that's going to be Ahsoka Tano's mission for her show. But
If you just mind me butting in for a second, there's a theory because they have said that there's going to be a crossover between the Ahsoka show, Mandalorian show, and then some other show that they're planning on doing. And there's a theory that maybe they'll all come together to defeat Grand Admiral Thrawn. But we're not sure.
But yeah, so episode 5, it was also the first episode that didn't introduce a new creature thing. Like, I know episode 4 didn't really have a creature, but episode 5 seriously had like no interesting creatures other than the owl, if you spotted that, which is apparently important from Star Wars Rebels.
Well, isn't there also the the little cat thing?
Yeah, Lothal cats.
Yeah, Lethal cat. That's in Rebels.
There was a cat. Why
Yeah.
do I not remember
Yeah.
this? Might have to go back and rewatch
In
that
the-
episode. But yeah, so
Yeah.
it wasn't. If there was, it wasn't very memorable for me.
It wasn't central. There wasn't a central creature. It was just like background stuff.
But yeah, so episode 5, not my favorite, but I have no problem with the Ahsoka Tano. So
Ladies
then,
and gentlemen, this is the last episode with with Toninator. Have a good night, everyone. Goodbye.
we'll start with
Yes.
you, Daniel, seeing as
they're
how
still
you
on.
never seem to have much to talk about. Episode 6, The Tragedy, where they go to Tython, they meet Boba Fett face to face. We re-meet Fennec, who's played by Ming-Na Wen, who we thought was dead in Season 1, but was saved by Boba Fett. And then we also get to see Grogu kidnapped by the Dark Troopers.
Bad day.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Is this the one where the ship gets
Yes.
it's yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
The Razor
Well-
Crest is blown up.
That poor ship
Hold on.
did not have a break.
My roommate's playing the Mando music right now. Yeah. So episode 6, where Mando's ship is blown up. I felt so bad for that ship. It's done nothing wrong, and then that happened. It was literally one of my favorite characters, even though
The ship was.
yeah, it had the best character development.
Yeah.
I appreciated the fact that when he met Mr. Boba, they weren't immediately shooting at each other, and they did come to a compromise instead of just being all gung-ho about it. And the fact that the Dark Troopers actually succeeded in getting the brat was a joy, and I loved it. And yeah,
You really have it out for him.
I didn't like the fact
Talking
that
about
he ate an
unpopular
entire-
opinion.
He ate sentient beings and got away with it. It's wrong.
All right, go ahead, Chris. Talk to us about
the
tragedy.
The only way they could make it good for me is if they make Baby Yoda become a Sith. That right there would complete his character development, and
Scary.
everything would make sense, and I'd be happy again.
Oh, and then pull a like an of mice and men thing, and Mando has to be the one to kill Baby Yoda.
Or he could kill Mando.
Do
That
you
would-
think
that would
he
also
could kill
be-
a baby Yoda Sith? I don't
I
think
want
so.
to see the villains win.
Well, they're not going to in The Mandalorian.
That's basically episode 3, the movie.
Anyways, we have to continue, guys. We're at an hour and a half, and we're only on episode 6.
Yeah, this will have to be like 3 parts.
Chris,
Uh,
Talk
Yeah,
to
my
me
internet will
about
never upload
episode
this.
6, the tragedy.
Dang. Hold on. It's saying a unit needs orders. Let me take care of this first.
Do someone else.
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Caleb.
Shoot. All right, Tython. First of all, not what I expected Tython to look like.
What did you expect? Coruscant?
No. Tython in all the games is a very lush green planet.
Okay.
Does not look like an African
Savannah.
savanna.
Oh, yeah. It is a whole planet, so it might have different climates.
Yeah, that's not generally the idea you get in Star Wars.
No,
though,
it's
Chris.
usually all one.
Play the one that we started playing way
The
back
Old
when,
Republic.
the Old Republic. You
The
remember
online
your first set of missions is all on Tython.
Yep.
And so that's kind of what I had in my head when they said they were going to Tython. Boba Fett coming back was great. The loss of the Razor Crest, that hurt my soul. Like,
You and Daniel love that ship, huh?
there was only one comparison, and if anybody has played through Knights of the Old Republic 1 and
Yep.
Knights of the Old Republic 2,
Yep.
there's a scene at the end of Knights of the Old Republic 2 where, like, right before the last level, the Ebon Hawk falls into a volcano, and you are crushed.
Well, you certainly were.
I was. That had been my ship forever.
Oh, shoot.
All right.
Time to restart.
Go ahead, Chris.
So kind of, I had some of the same feelings Caleb did. It was a little different than I expected in Tython, but again, I just kind of figured there were different climates, so it made sense. It was close enough. You know, it wasn't like Tatooine, like desert or anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like a lot less happened in that episode in terms of, you know, usually they're moving around, doing stuff, going from place to place. But this was all just focused in this, I don't know, maybe like square kilometer of space,
Yeah.
which was different than all the other rest of the episodes. But I think they did a lot of really good stuff in that space with the characters they provided. Like you said, Fennec, who pulled a Darth Maul,
Yeah.
kind of, and came back half machine. And then seeing Boba Fett just made me super excited, and seeing him actually fight. Because you know, in like the movies, when you see him, it's implied that he's completely BA,
Yeah.
but you never really see him do anything.
Yeah.
Except get launched into the Sarlacc by Han Solo. So getting to see him fight was really cool. I thought they did a good job with that. More proof that stormtroopers and the Empire needs to work on their military, though, because they had full squads and they didn't manage to kill one of 3 people. And also their armor, if you remember, Boba Fett was fighting with, he was fighting basically with the. Now, granted, he's probably really strong and it's a big club, but he shouldn't be able to shatter their armor
True.
with a club. Right? Like, I don't know. It seems like it's pretty useless armor. So it makes me wonder how the Empire actually ever succeeded militarily.
Well, they
Depend-
clearly took up the ant versus the elephant strategy of sheer numbers. You know, Russia's tactics in World War II.
Yes.
Just
the
swarm
Russians
'em,
only
boys.
used
Lot
the
of
winter.
Some of you
Didn't
may
go well with
die,
that.
but that's a sacrifice we are willing to make.
The Russians also used the winter.
In defense
I mean, you
mode,
could see
not in
that.
attack mode.
I can see that.
Even Impaji wouldn't take down an elephant.
If you have enough fire ants, Daniel, they can take down an elephant.
If you have enough fire ants, they're not gonna take. They can't even bite through the
Oh boy.
skin.
But there's softer parts of the elephant. But we
It's too
digress.
thick.
Chris, continue.
I agree with what you're saying, AJ. However, they also put enough money to build a giant space station that can destroy planets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, seems like you could outfit your soldiers a little bit better.
They're pouring all their money into these weapons, Chris.
I know these single weapons, single stations. But then also seeing Boba Fett back in his armor was very nostalgic, and you get that you immediately get he goes from BA to when he gets the armor on to just like completely off the charts, like Mace Windu level. So that was really cool to see. And seeing Slave One too just made me happy.
Hmm.
Seeing it fly in and land on its back, which I always thought was weird. But yeah, that's all I got.
All right, Anthony, go ahead.
My turn.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Not much left to be said that hasn't been said already. Seeing Din trying to break through the force shield like several times was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Because the poor guy, he couldn't. I thought like eventually he might grab him because that's the nature of TV shows, and he just kept getting flinged away like a piece of gum.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, poor
Yeah.
guy. He just
You
got his like
expected him to
brains.
succeed, and then he
He
didn't.
got his brains knocked around, and then. But then, anyways, yeah, Boba Fett was a huge highlight of that episode. Seeing that lady character back again was pretty cool because she's a great actress. From
Good
Agents of
character
Shield.
too.
Yeah, and a good character. And the thing that blew my mind was the fact that like Boba Fett was so willing to help. Like afterwards,
Yeah.
it's like, well, you got your stuff, and he's like, no, you don't have your kid yet. We'll get into this when we get into the later episodes, but I could have bet my last dollar that he was gonna betray the Mandalorian. I thought, oh well,
Wow.
pretty obvious he's gonna betray him. Well, because like anytime he's on screen, whether it's Clone Wars or the movies or whatever, he's always a jerk.
Is
And
he?
I thought,
Really? I
yeah,
remember him just being silent
Yeah.
and kind of aloof. I don't remember being a jerk.
he's a jerk in the Clone Wars when he's a kid.
Oh well, he's a
True.
brat. Yeah,
he's a
that's
he's a
kid,
bratty
though.
kid, but that's all kids in Star Wars.
True, but
That's a lot of
anyways,
kids in general.
but anyways,
Here, here.
I thought he was gonna betray, but luckily, I was wrong. But anyways, yeah, he was such a cool part, and they really gave him a good light to shine. Also, the line about like I'm just a simple man finding my way across the universe.
Yeah.
Amazing
Yeah.
reference. Absolute amazing reference.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, also it was cool to get that explanation about what Jango Fett was because they explained in that episode that he was a foundling, Jango Fett, which is cool because in the Clone Wars, the Mandalorians were always very quick to deny Jango Fett as a Mandalorian. There's a couple scenes where like they bring up like, oh, like, oh, we're a peaceful nation. They're like, and the Jedi are like, oh, just like Jango Fett, who tried to kill several of our members. And they're like, oh, well, he just stole our armor. He wasn't a Mandalorian. But it was cool to see that he actually was a foundling. But anyways, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. We'll keep moving on.
Yeah. So episode 6 for me. I loved the action in episode 6. Once again, though, we get the whole issue that every Star Wars has, where just no one is able to do anything to the main characters. But at the same time, it was really cool to see just the dynamic of Boba and Fennec and Din fighting against the stormtroopers. But what really sold it for me was the dark troopers. I know they didn't do much, but they just looked so menacing. And just the moment when Boba Fett is following after the Dark Troopers as they're heading back to the ship with Grogu, and he breaks through the clouds and he just sees the Imperial Star class ship, and it's just like, oh, we're not going in there right away. And he just like backs off just to show you like there's still some power that Moff Gideon has. He's not just some renegade. This dude's got power enough to scare Boba Fett away. So that was cool for me. But again, no new creatures. I don't really care too much about planets. I know Hoth because it's snow, but really the rest of them, somebody says it, I was like,
Tatooine.
that name sounds like it was in a Star Wars movie, yeah. So, yeah, the whole reveal of Tython didn't really mean too much. Alright, episode 7. We'll start with Caleb, because this is the one you wanted to keep talking about. This is where they go and they break Mayfield out of jail, well, out of the junkyard. And they go to discover Gideon's location, and they name drop Operation Cinder.
Right. So I really liked Mayfield's character because he's very sarcastic and just like, I'm gonna get shot, so who cares? I also like them actually showing the chop yard kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did they? I can't remember. Did they escape the facility in this one?
Yes, they escape the facility right at the end.
And he makes that incredible shot.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool. And then they let him escape, and I was thinking, this is totally out of a John Wayne movie.
Oh, really?
But you've been complaining, at least in the last one, you didn't like that the Mandalorian was kind of Western.
That doesn't mean, so even if I don't like it, doesn't mean it doesn't remind me of it.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, I like the interplay that he had with him. I thought it was well constructed.
And what about that face reveal?
Yeah, not who I really wanted.
Yeah, that was my question for everyone. What did everyone think of the? Just put it in when it's your time to review. But first, Caleb, what did you think about the face reveal? Was it overkill?
I watched Game of Thrones, so the actor is always going to be the guy from Game of Thrones.
Is it Martell or something like that? The guy who gets destroyed by the mountain, right?
Yeah.
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 So it's like it was a face that looked kind of weird being in a Star Wars movie. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It'd be like Orlando Bloom showing up in a Star Wars movie.
That would
It'd be like,
weird.
wait.
Where's Legolas?
Or Will Turner.
Or Will Turner, I'm pretty sure I would say Legolas. But yeah, we digress.
Speaking of Orlando Bloom, did you see the meme where somebody's talking to Thranduil? He says, "Oh, that must be my son when he was in his pirate phase." And it goes to Will Turner.
I saw that meme.
I have not, but that sounds good. Anywho,
All right, Chris, go ahead.
Mandalorian.
Talk to us about episode 7.
Okay, my turn is done. Where to start? So, I guess I don't really have anything to talk about until they get on the planet where it all goes down.
Yeah.
I really liked the setting. I thought it was a cool planet. I don't know why. I honestly can't tell you why. I just thought it was cool. And then they have the frickin' big trucks,
Yeah.
which as an engineer I thought were really cool until I realized what they were using the trucks for. And then all I could
Carrying
think about was,
Radeon.
the stuff that if you go too fast or it gets too bumpy, it'll explode.
Yep.
All I could think about is like, why the heck are you not using a speeder
Why the heck
like
are you not
everything
using
else?
hover
Yeah.
technology, which you
Why?
obviously have?
Yeah. Why in this one case are you using the wheeled vehicles that hit bumps and stuff?
Literally the one use in the universe, which is absolutely terrible to use
Yeah,
it
in the
for.
show. That aside, I thought the vehicle was actually really cool.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. Or I'm
Seeing
jumping ahead
wheels.
there. What? Wheeled vehicle
Yeah.
with wheels. What was I saying? Um, one thing I thought was surprising is, like Caleb said, the shooter. I can't remember his name now. You know,
Mayfield.
Mayfield.
Mayfield. He is, yeah, very sarcastic, very cheeky. However, he had some very. He would like slip into these sections where he would say something really deep all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think he was talking while they were just driving along. He was talking about what was it? At the end of the day, it's a good day if you can sleep at night or
Yeah.
something like that. And so I thought that was really cool because it just showed him as a more serious character and not just like comic relief
Mm-hmm.
cheekiness. Um, and then also when this is another instance where I thought the Empire could have used their TIE fighters earlier than waiting till the like 100 feet from the base. But yeah, I'm getting too nitty nit gritty. Um, I thought it was kind of cool to see all the troopers when they came out. They're all like cheering them on because you see the Empire as an actual group of people all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and not, not the gray and white and red, just machine of
Yeah, they're
oppression and
not
stress.
robots.
Yeah, they're not robots. So you see them like all happy. Hey, you guys succeeded. Nice work, and supporting each other, which made me feel kind of bad, especially for the one trooper that was getting lunch when they start shooting. Because if you guys remember, there's like they shoot the commander,
Yeah.
and then it looks over. There's just this trooper like holding,
Yeah.
and then they blast it. I was like, oh, that sucks for that guy.
I laugh if we would have just grabbed his lunch and just sat down. It's like, hey, I'm not spoiling my lunch.
Right.
That would have been me.
So yeah, I thought that was really cool to see that part of the Empire, I guess. And for the exit was cool. The fact that they let him go at the end. And the fact that he just wasn't sure, so he kept like turning around, was like, "Are you sure? You're not gonna shoot me in the back or something?"
You don't want to shoot me in the back?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you people?
But that's all I got.
All right, go ahead, Anthony.
I thought it was when I seen a wheeled vehicle in the Star Wars universe, it was like Twilight Hour or something. You know what I mean? It was like an episode of the Twilight Zone. It was just really weird for me.
Not what
But
you expected.
yeah, no. But it was just very weird and strange. But anyways, yeah. It was a pretty cool episode. It was full of action. I totally forgot who that guy's character was. Luckily, they did the
Mayfield.
flash. They always do the flashback
Yeah.
at the beginning of the episode. I'm like, wow, that guy was so forgettable. Who would have realized he would be in an episode this season? But anyways, that guy's actor is he actually does podcasts, and
Bill
they're not
Barr.
ones that I can recommend because he curses a lot, but he's got very conservative views again, so he's a little more enjoyable. He he, he famously did a podcast review for like the newest Star Wars movies, and he absolutely hated them. So it's kind of really funny that they casted him for Star Wars.
Yeah.
But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the people directing the Mandalorian is like takes that as a good thing. If you think the last three movies were terrible Star Wars movies, they're like, you're hired.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, there's not much I could say about it that hasn't already been said. I do like the line from Boba Fett. It's like, why can't you do it? And he's like, let's just say they'd recognize my face.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh yeah.
Clone Wars reference, because he's a clone. But which he was really trying to keep secret, which was funny. Like he never really goes into that, but I guess he really doesn't care. He didn't. really see himself as a clone. He's seen himself as a son. But
Well, and he was raised
Like-
completely separately from them.
yeah, he wasn't
he
actually
didn't-
part of the clone army.
Yeah, and he didn't have that accelerated growth and everything, so
Yeah.
Or any of the inhibitors.
Yes, he didn't have
Yeah.
those either.
he was just a clone. Straight clone.
So anyways,
blame.
that's all I have to say about that.
All right, go ahead, Daniel.
Is this one where they fought they actually got into the starship?
No,
Nope.
No.
no. Episode 7 is the one where they go to find out where Moff Gideon is.
Oh, well, I can't remember anything about it.
I think for me, what was interesting about episode 7, the only thing I didn't really catch on to, they mention Operation Cinder. Now, I had never heard of Operation Cinder before, so, like a good little nerd fanboy, I went and I read up on it. Apparently, Operation Cinder was the plan to essentially destroy planets should the Emperor fall. And so, with the destruction of the first Death Star, Operation Cinder was put into place. With the destruction of the second Death Star and the death, or what we thought was the death, of the Emperor, Operation Cinder took place, where essentially Imperial starships shot down on heavily populated cities, essentially destroying them. Now, why that's important for this episode is because Mayfield witnessed Operation Cinder, and so he was not impressed with like the people that were behind Operation Cinder, and I just thought that was a huge character development. I'm a little disappointed they didn't go into further detail as to what Operation Cinder was, because then you have an even bigger understanding of that line Chris was talking about, where it's like, if you get through the day and you're able to sleep at night, then it's been a good day. It just drives home the fact, like, this guy hasn't just gone through, like, wars like what we think of when we think of Star Wars. He literally saw essentially napalming cities. It's like World War II PTSD that this guy is trying to go through. So I thought that was really cool character development. So I liked episode 7. The face, like the face reveal, like just being willing to show his face to anyone and everyone. Oh, I don't know how I felt about that. I like that Din is progressing in that he's willing to start taking his helmet off, but the fact that he was willing to do it to complete strangers kind of bugged me. But at the same time, I'm happy that we're getting away from him always wearing the helmet. But yeah, so episode 7, it was a teeter-totter for me, but it was action-packed. I've seen videos on the CGI, and apparently it's just masterclass CGI work that they did there. So I have no problems with episode 7.
Can I just jump in real quick?
Go for
First
it.
off, on the face reveal, I forgot to mention that. I actually thought it was really cool that there was so much of a dilemma. Like, you could see before he took it off, he knew that if he doesn't take off his helmet, he's not going to get the location for the destroyer. So he has to basically choose, okay, am I going to stick to this and possibly raise suspicion and not only possibly die, but probably never find Grogu or have to go through a lot more time and effort to find him?
Yeah.
Or do I take it off? So I think seeing that inner conflict was really cool. No real comment on the face itself.
Yeah.
But also, how about the challenge Mandalorian throws out at the end of the episode to Moff Gideon?
Oh, where it's a
That was
perfect
cool.
Yeah,
mirror
he's like,
to what he got at
think?
the end of season 1. Oh, loved it.
Right? Where he's like, you think you know how much I care about this, but you have no idea. And you're just like getting goosebumps, like, oh, you done it now!
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, he in trouble?
Oh,
So, now we get on to the season finale, episode 8, The Rescue. Boba Fett, Din, Fennec, Bo-Katan, Kara,
Yeah, real
they all
people.
come together. Everyone knows what happened in the last episode. We'll start off with Chris. Tell
Oh.
us about episode 8.
Well, after the challenge that the Mandalorian gave at the end of the previous episode, I was super excited for this last one because I wanted to see how the heck this was going to work. So he goes and actually gets more reinforcements from the fellow Mandalorians. One
Yeah.
thing I noticed and wanted to know about, where was the third Mandalorian that was with them though? Because if you
Yeah,
remember,
they never
Yeah.
when he
explained that.
first
Yeah, I
yeah,
thought
when they
that
first
too.
meet,
Me too.
there was the two women and the guy.
And the
and
guy just
then-
disappears.
Yeah, and then when they find him again, he's just gone, and there's no discussion about it. I mean, so that was kind of disappointing. I was kind of just like, well, where did he go? You know, what's he doing?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was all that talk leading up to it, where Bo-Katan's just being mysterious, like he can only Moff Gideon can only surrender to me, like he's mine. Don't touch him.
Yeah.
And you kind of just get the feeling like, okay, I kind of feel like that's not going to happen, and then there's going to be something bad. So it built up even more tension going into this, right? That they're going to have to worry about it. And of course, further description of the Dark Troopers makes the Empire seem a lot more intimidating. Again, like it's not just stormtroopers that their armor breaks with a club and
Yeah.
they can't hit the broadside of a bantha, so they say.
Do they say that, Chris, or did you just come
No.
up with that?
I came up. Well, I think they say something like that. It might
Chris
just
is
be
making
couldn't hit a
crap up
bantha.
again.
I like to do that. And so they had a very interesting strategy. And the whole fight, like fighting through the ship and everything, was cool. The fact that they jammed up the launch pad for the fighters with the
Yeah, that was
shuttle.
a really smart idea.
It was smart and also hilarious. Because that Empire officer is just like, do not come in, and they're like, nope, we're coming in. So where was I going with that?
Don't know.
So
No idea.
yeah, I don't know. So fighting through the ship was just fairly standard. They were kicking butt. And then the fight between when the Mandalorian finds Moff Gideon in there with Baby Yoda was just so satisfying because you just knew it was going to be at that point a one-on-one fight between the Mandalorian and Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
Which is what you were so looking forward to, or I was, I should say. And I think they did a really good job, really well choreographed that fight. Especially the Mandalorian with his spear.
Yeah.
Although I was impressed that he was so good with it after getting it like 2 episodes ago.
Maybe he practiced during his long flights.
I guess that would make sense.
He could have been trained with different weapons too as a kid.
Oh, he could have. It was just very different to see him go from blasters and all his fancy gadgets to a spear. Right? Kind of like a step in the wrong direction almost. But 2 big things about this episode that I loved is when you see the Dark Troopers actually in action. Right? They actually live up to the intimidation, unlike stormtroopers and all the other things the Empire says is kick butt. None of it is ever, except maybe Darth Vader. So to see them almost defeat the Mandalorian one-on-one, like no problem. And then the fact that they just all of a sudden come back and after being flushed out into space and pin them on the bridge. It was kind of like, okay, these guys can actually do some damage, right? And I don't even know what to say about the end. Like the end, the fact that Luke Skywalker shows up and goes kicks their butt. Made me very excited.
Force crush.
What's that? Yeah,
with the Force crush.
Obviously, obviously you guys realized it was Luke before he took his thing off.
I did not.
Oh, okay, never mind. I was gonna say, at
See,
what point
the
did you
moment
realize?
okay, I'm jumping ahead, but the moment I saw the green lightsaber, I was like, oh, they're trying to make me think it's Luke Skywalker, but it's probably one of these other morons from Rebels or something. And then the moment he pulls up the hood, I was like, are you kidding me? They actually pulled off Luke Skywalker? What? So
So
I was surprised by that. Good on Jon Favreau and everyone for keeping that under wraps.
I have to say, I think I kind of knew as soon as I saw the lone X-wing pull in, or
As soon as,
I had thoughts as soon as I saw the single X-wing. I was like, oh, is this gonna be Luke Skywalker? One thing that was interesting, with his fight through the ship, is he actually reminded me a lot of Anakin in Episode 3 when he was going through and killing everybody.
Oh, it's just easy.
Yep.
With just
Yeah.
like the hood up, and he's just like walking semi-nonchalantly but very purposefully. And like he's just
Everything
destroying these things
very-
without even trying.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if they meant it to be, but it looked very much like that. But like I was saying, you never really get to see Luke as, again, this extremely powerful Jedi Master, which you hear about him being in, books and other shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So just to see that on screen and see how powerful he actually is was a lot of fun. And the fact that he wasn't just an Force image messing with people, like in Episode 8. Oh yeah, of the movies. I was very disappointed with that.
Mm.
But
I think a lot of people were.
yeah, I thought it was a really good ending. I don't know. I hope we see Baby Yoda, but I would be very interested to see how they pull that off.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what's gonna happen there. But I'll stop
becomes
talking if you guys have a chance.
Go
He
ahead,
becomes a
Caleb.
teenager.
Tell us about the season finale for you.
So the build-up was good into the one-on-one with Moff Gideon. I thought they did a really interesting job with the Darksaber
Okay.
Mhm.
and the way they designed it. It just looked weird. Or it didn't look weird. Like I knew it was the Darksaber, but the Darksaber was in Knights of the Old Republic.
Was it?
Yeah.
Its current design has been the same one since Clone Wars. So
I don't remember.
Mandalorian
Knights
wasn't
of
the
Old
first
Republic.
one with the new design. But yeah, doesn't ruin your point though.
I don't know. It looked different. I didn't expect the whole blade to go in and out.
In and out.
Yeah, like a lightsaber.
Like actually withdraw like a lightsaber does.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You expected it to just kind of be like a material sword that had dark-ish properties?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like the one in Old Republic is like a vibroblade,
Oh.
but it's black and it has like electrical discharge going
Ah.
around it.
And that was the Darksaber? I don't remember this, but that was a long time
No.
ago I played that game.
Good. It's in one of the tombs on Korriban that you go to.
Okay, well. Continue.
Then the Luke
Oh,
Skywalker. Yeah, that's why I went Solitary X-Wing pulls in. I had no idea. Kind of inkling of Luke. The green lightsaber was like, okay, yep. And then the gloved hand as well.
Ah, didn't think about that.
Yep.
Yeah,
The
that's when I realized it was Luke.
The
As soon as I
gloved
seen
hand.
Yeah, the one
And
glove thing.
then I
But
was
everyone
really
like
curious
wears
as to-
gloves in Star
Like-
Wars.
Well, just one glove. Who in life wears one glove? But anyways,
True.
go ahead,
There
Caleb.
was just one.
I don't know. I thought his face looked weird.
It did. It wasn't a perfect replica, no.
It was a little off, but I mean, considering it was CG, it was pretty darn good.
Considering the man is like 80 years old now. they couldn't use him.
But they had him there. Apparently, Mark Hamill
Really?
himself came on to set for that particular um,
Scene.
thing.
They probably
So
they,
Well,
they
maybe
probably
I
for
said,
his
"See,
voice.
they probably said, see, this is what a good Luke Skywalker is."
well, I remember hearing too, because I'm pretty sure at that point they had to try very, very carefully to like keep it a secret that he
Yep.
was there.
Yep.
Because I remember, I think when what's his name?
Ewan
The guy who
McGregor.
plays Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, was on set for something else, but like the media just went crazy. So sorry, go ahead.
No. What I heard was they Mark Hamill played Luke Skywalker, and then they digitally redid his face.
He very well
And-
might have. Maybe
No,
that's
he
why
he
he
was he
wasn't
was
so
not the
flourishing.
body. They had a double in. So I don't know what his role was, but they definitely had Mark Hamill there. I'll have to find where I got the information. I think there's a documentary on Disney Plus. Maybe
You
like the
probably got it
behind the
from
scenes of
VFX
season 2.
Artists React.
Is that where it is?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just watched that.
Where is it?
Corridor Crew VFX Artists React. They just released their episode of they react to the Mandalorian. That's where they went all nerd about the water physics when the ship came out of the water, like
Yeah.
after it crashed into the water and all that stuff, and how they did Mark Hamill's deep fake face basically.
Yeah.
They had somebody else come in and then they just cropped the face onto them. So they said it was pretty good, but you could still tell that it was slightly off.
Well, yeah.
So
Also,
yeah.
All right,
just as
go
an
ahead,
audience of
Anthony.
nope.
You say nope? Okay.
No, sorry, I was talking to myself.
Oh,
I
okay.
do that.
Anyways, yes. Like everyone else, I loved the episode. I thought it was just as awesome as the season began. The season ended. I thought it was a really amazing way, and also thinking about it too. It's cool how season 1 had this whole like get together at the end of the season. A band of friends. And season 2 had the same thing, right? Except there was a few old friends, but a few new friends too from season 2. So that was pretty cool to see, and it didn't feel repetitious at all or anything. It was still really cool how they did that. Really cool moment. Uh, I love that scene where the Mandalorian is getting his head pounded into the steel by the
Oh
Dark
yeah,
Trooper.
the helmet's not
The poor
giving.
guy had the yeah, that would hurt. Like honestly, the shock from that would still like probably crack your skull. Um, but the that was cool. That was a really cool scene because just to see like how much he struggled with one, it was like there's no way if all of those get out, they're gonna be able to stop them. And then when they come back later in the episode, you're like, well, these guys are screwed. But yeah, and then the single X-wing. I thought, before going into the episode, obviously, some Jedi is going to show up for Grogu. I thought maybe, like AJ said, it would be someone from Rebels. I thought maybe it'd be Ezra. Uh, but when he showed up in an X-wing, I wasn't sure then because we've never seen him drive an X-wing, so
What?
it
Pretty
would
sure
have been
he
a weird.
Luke?
No,
He flies
No, no,
an
Ezra.
no, no,
We've
X-wing.
no,
never seen
Ezra.
Oh,
Ezra.
Ezra.
Right.
Ezra.
Sorry.
But then when I realized it was Luke, because who in this universe or that universe wears one glove? Uh,
Somebody with
but anyways, uh, yeah, well, or he's a golfer. I don't know, but
a.
apparently golfers only wear one glove. But anyways,
I
uh,
can only imagine that.
but
With his
anyways,
hood up and everything, and okay, sorry.
but anyways, um, yeah, when I realized it was Luke, it was like, oh, that makes absolute perfect sense. That he's still driving, and we get the RTD R2D2 reference, so that was cool too. R2D2.
Yeah.
He was the star of the show. R2D2. Just saying. But yeah. And then yeah, of course, the actor was of course CGI Luke. So that's why he stood still like for like 40 seconds and didn't move at all, because they needed the actor to stay still so that the cameras could CGI his face properly. But anyways, yeah. Also, the one moment I really loved, and I had to watch this moment a couple times after I seen the episode. When the Dark Troopers are beating on the door, when it's like, okay, this is the final stand, let's go down shooting. Moff Gideon's just sitting there with a smile on his face. Like he's got an absolute like devilish grin. Like that was the moment where I really loved that guy. I was like, oh, that was a perfect moment. Then when they stop and they're like, wait, why are they stopping? And all of a sudden, Luke pulls out the lightsaber and starts cutting them down like grass. And they're like, a Jedi? Moff Gideon's face goes from, what they call the poop eating grin to like absolute despair. Like he's realizing, oh, I'm screwed now. It was cool to see like he knew that a Jedi was the only thing that could stop him. And also the Force Crush. I love how Luke just goes for absolute style. Every Dark Trooper he killed was different in a different way. Some he sliced, some he stabbed, some he crushed with other ones, and then the last one he just like absolutely crushes with the Force, just to show how strong he is with the Force. Because I don't think many Jedi could actually do that, and that was pretty cool. The cool thing is you can do stuff to a robot you couldn't do to a human,
Yeah.
and still give it a PG-13 rating. So if you crushed a real person like that, it
And
would be pretty graphic.
something along those lines, just while we're on it. So from what I understand, from bigger nerds than I am, the Force Crush is apparently frowned upon. It was only like a dark side move on living things. And so we are 100% confirmed then that the Dark Troopers have no human whatsoever in them. Like no living sentience. It's all machine. But even still, it's apparently a gray area whether Jedi should be allowed to Force Crush, just from what I've understood. But yeah, it was so cool to see that
Yeah,
ability.
it was pretty cool. But anyways, that's probably pretty much all I have to say, other than it'll be interesting to see what they do with season 3. Will they bring Grogu back? What excuse will they have for bringing him back? And if they don't, it'll be interesting to see a dynamic with just the Mandalorian.
All right,
But
Daniel,
that's
go
all.
ahead. Talk to us about the season finale.
Well,
He's disappointed Grogu didn't die.
yep,
There you go.
would have been a big plus if Grogu had died. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. One problem I did have though was when Dark Trooper was smashing this guy's head in. I get he's wearing a helmet, but that force is still gonna cause problems for you. It's not like just because your head's in a helmet, your brain is perfectly safe. That guy's gonna come out of there with a concussion. He's gonna be knocked out, and somehow he took absolutely no damage.
Beskar.
You can't. No, you can't just.
It's like vibranium.
Well,
It's bullcrap. What it is.
I mean, technically, if you have enough padding, it would absorb the vibrations anyways. But
Chris, you know how long they've been developing motorcycle?
how long they've been developing what?
Hundreds of years. You know what happens when somebody on a motorcycle wipes out?
Look, I'm not saying we have the technology. I'm just saying if they have a magical padding, but
You can't just.
it's nothing.
You can't just. You can't just make energy suddenly disappear.
No, but you can disperse it.
What were they
It can be
dispersing
absorbed.
it into?
The Beskar.
Well, obviously the ship. Hence the ship being destroyed slowly. But let's not get into an argument about physics because it doesn't really.
Yeah, you're looking
Fair.
for logic in the world of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Crazy people.
We're stupid. I'm right there with you, Daniel.
I just want to show that actually pays attention to stuff like that. Because I'm sick and tired of all this special treatment just because they're a main character.
Well, that's Star Wars in a nutshell. But
That's every single movie in a nutshell.
is that
So
all
far.
you've got, Daniel?
Yes, I'm fed up with Hollywood.
Okay, Daniel quits.
All
That's
right.
the moral.
So episode 8 was probably my favorite episode of the whole Mandalorian series, just because of how adrenaline-inducing it was. I loved the action, like the fighting sequences, the team up, getting to see Moff Gideon be sinister, getting to see Luke Skywalker just walk through the storm ship. Everything was so good. But I'll tell you what tipped it over the top for me. The end credit scene when Boba Fett takes over Jabba's
Yes.
palace. The moment that happens, I was
That
just
was
like,
well done.
what the heck? I never expected them to do anything more with Boba Fett, and they're giving him a whole series. The Book of Boba. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know how excited I am for the Book of Boba Fett, but at
Oh,
the
yeah.
same time, like,
That's
it's
the third
just,
one.
it's so,
Um,
it's so interesting what they've come up with in season 2, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed episode 8. Yeah, not much else to say about it, but I loved it. And the one other thing I will say though, because it just popped in my mind, when you see Bo-Katan's face as Din walks in with the dark saber, I don't know where they're going with this. Like, is Din going to fight Bo-Katan? I've heard rumors that apparently Din can just give it to Bo-Katan. It's not like she hasn't had it happen to her before.
yeah,
But
Sabine gave it to her in Rebels without
yeah,
a fight. So
but
that was
at the
kind of a
same
new
time,
thing.
it
That was
might
weird.
just be because he's a Mandalorian as well, or something
Well,
along
Sabine's
a
a Mandalorian.
prophecy. I don't know.
Sabine,
I
Sabine
don't
is actually
know,
more
Anthony.
of a Mandalorian.
But
Trying to tell you.
I don't want to know, Anthony. It's a mystery, and I must solve it. Anyways, but yeah, it's just
By himself.
I love the little twist. Everyone, like, I knew Din was gonna be the one to beat up Moff Gideon. There's no way he's leaving that for Bo-Katan. But it was just so cool everything that they did in that regard. So
Well, I love the fact that Moff Gideon did that on purpose. He's like, if anybody is going to take me down, I want it to be him because it will piss off Bo-Katan.
Yeah, the fact that he was still playing them even while they were taking over his ship.
Yeah.
all right, so all we have left to do then is the overall rating. We'll start with Caleb. Give
Oh,
us your overall rating for season 2.
What was
And,
the system we used last time?
And
I don't remember.
because I don't remember what your season 1 rating was, say which season you liked the better, 1 or 2.
I like 2 better than 1. Mostly because of Mayfield.
Okay, and what's your rating?
Side character.
Because of the ones, the one sniper trooper.
Okay.
Out of 10, what is your rating?
Out of 10, I'd probably go 6, 7, 7.
All right, so a show that you might watch again, but not inclined to.
Yeah. It's not something I would watch again and again.
All right, Anthony, your rating, please.
I like season 2 better, and I'd probably I forget what my season 1 rating was, but I don't. I really liked it. I would probably be I'd like to give it a 9, but I don't know if it deserves a 9. I'll say 8, just to give it high enough, but not too high. But I it obviously had problems. That's why I don't want to give it too high. But I thought it did really well, and I thought it appealed more to the hardcore Star Wars fan, which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that, especially in the second season. So yeah, that's my rating out of 8, or
Chris,
8 out of 10.
your rating out of 10.
Yeah, yeah, it's 8. It's 8. Sorry.
Chris, your rating out of 10.
I would have to agree and probably give it an 8. I did like season 2 better, largely because of all the different characters it introduced. There was a lot more reference back to the various previous shows and storylines in Star Wars, and it had a lot of awesome creatures, so that's why I gave it the rating it did.
Daniel, your rating out of 10.
I said 8.
Daniel.
Oh, Daniel.
Well, I'm pretty bitter right now, so not very,
Sorry.
2.
not very fair one. Probably a
One.
6.
Oh.
6 out of 10. Which season did
Yeah.
you like better?
It's hard to say because the first season set it up so nicely, and then the second season just stayed true to itself. So I don't know.
Can I just ask you one question? If Baby Yoda had not eaten those eggs, how much would that increase your rating?
Well, I wouldn't hate Baby Yoda as much, so it might increase it by
10.
1.
Okay. That would be a 10. A perfect score. Gotcha. AJ, your score out of 10.
My score out of 10 would be an 8 as well. I might be edging, like, if we could do 0.5, then I would probably give it an 8.5, just because
Hey, that's not fair.
the first, just so that viewers know that I'm pushing towards a 9, but it wasn't quite good enough to be a 9. So it's
Yeah,
an 8.
that's why I felt.
Because I loved the creature designs in season 2. I just loved them. And the character development of important figures in Star Wars lore, that was I love to see TV shows that give full support to their fan bases. They're like, "Oh, hey, we heard that you enjoy this kind of stuff. So, have fun." I think the stuff that does take it away, they didn't do very good with a few of the combat scenarios. But overall, yeah, the end of the season, I'll definitely be watching season 3 of The Mandalorian. I love that they've set up a few key areas that need to be addressed in the Star Wars universe, like Admiral Thrawn and what is Moff Gideon doing with the Jedi blood. But yeah, so 8 out of 10 for me. Did I like it better than season 1? Yes. Season 1 had a really good final episode, but in overall, I'd say season 2 was more fun to watch. Alright, so if there's no further discussion to be had, we'll be finishing off this video. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We'll catch you on the flip side.
3 hours.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.